You have been teleported to 153.50, 4.00, minus 5.50.
So in the second escape room, they find out that they are going to need to be put to work when they enter the lab.
You have been.
The second room is the animal husbandry lab. So the blackboard tells them that they need to grow some plants and breed some animals and collect a sample from that pig in quarantine, or he might have to resort to using some other test subjects for his experiments. And then the lab assistant talks more about the tasks that need to be done and how to get some tips and resources to help with those tasks. Also, he talks about what the player needs to escape from the room by putting items in the item frames up on the wall. There's two different categories. There's resources and activities that living things do to survive, and if they put the right ones in the right item frame, it lights up, and then when all of them are light up, they can leave. So, but in order to do that, they're going to have to go over here to the different plant garden and the pens and use the resources and the materials to grow things. So this is the animal husbandry book that has tips if they need it, if they're not that familiar with Minecraft and what to do. As an example just of how they would fill out, add things to the item frame, they might look and say, okay, when I grow, I know that plants need the sun to grow, so I'm going to add that to my inventory because I might need that. And then I'm going to add the seeds so I can grow the plants. And then I'm going to add the bone meal, so that'll help the plants grow faster, hoe to plow in the garden. So now in the bucket, well, I might need to get some water in this bucket. So they add all these things to their inventory, and then they can collect whatever they need. So they might, so let's say they've got this mini sun, and they think, okay, I think that's one of the resources that living things need. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to try it out. So so let's say they stick this little sun here. Okay, well, it says mini sun, but nothing lights up, so then they know that they didn't get the right one. So they're going to take it out, and then they're going to try a different one. So let's say they try this one.
Energy from the sun.
Okay, so that means they got it right. The energy from the sun is one of the resources that living things need to live. Now let's say they think, okay, well, I'm not sure what the other resources are. They might want to click one of these buttons.
This makes chemical reactions possible in living things.
And it'll give them a hint. So they think, okay, this makes chemical reactions possible in living things. Well, maybe that would be water. So I'm going to go over in my bucket and grab some water and then scoop it up and then try that in the item frame and see if that works. So as players work to figure out what they need to solve the puzzle, they apply some pattern matching skills, matching the items that they can find at the different pens, and by working with growing the plants and feeding the animals and collecting a sample from the pig. They can also use their knowledge of resources and activities that living things need to survive and combine that to correctly collect the right items and put them in the right item frames. So that takes builds their computational thinking skills, and it recalls the prior knowledge that they had of organisms and ecosystems. And then that's actually going to help them once they've gotten all these lit up and they've opened this door to move into the next room where they build a habitat for an animal. So when players are transported to the third escape room, they meet with a habitat scientist that tells them about the objective and welcomes them to the room. And then they, again, they have a blackboard that explains what the scenario is. So they're supposed to look at the different animals in the cages and learn about the proper habitats that they need, and then choose an animal and some building equipment to build a habitat for them. So, for example, they could look at this polar bear, and they could consult the robot for information to learn more about polar bears. And that opens up a link to some resources. So they can gather as much information as they need about polar bears, where they live, what kind of resources, what they eat, all of those kind of things if they don't already know about them. Return to the game and go to the building area. Where they can get the equipment to build their habitat. They can talk to another habitat scientist about things that they might need. Give them some tools. They can choose the blocks, so they would want to use like ice if they're building a polar bear habitat, for example, and other things that you might find based on what they learned. And then this room in particular lays how to build a habitat out into steps. So it's kind of digestible pieces, so they can take it one at a time and make sure they've got everything they need to build the habitat, including spawning eggs so they need an egg to spawn a polar bear, for example. And then once they've taken all these materials outside and they've built their habitat, they're going to take the in-game camera and the portfolio so they can take pictures of what they created and then save that to a portfolio that they can export from the game as evidence of their work. And they could possibly share that with other students. It can be used in a discussion. So I'm not going to walk through how the habitat is built. There's an outside area for doing that. But once the student has done that and they've taken a picture, then again, they've applied their prior knowledge and they've used computational thinking skills to gather information and resources and construct a model that represents a habitat for an organism and supplies all of their needs. And that's something that they can discuss with others, and it sort of enriches and deepens their thinking. So once they're all done with this section, then they are ready to exit, and the opening will allow them to go out.
You have teleported to 196.50, 4.00, 59.50.
They can get a reward from Dr. Scientist, and who's happy that they finished up and escaped the lab, and then log out and turn in their worksheet and their... So thank you for joining me. I hope you gained something from watching this video. Minecraft for Education is a really fun way to get students engaged in critical thinking and problem solving. It's very motivating for them, and I will hope that you will try it out. Thank you.